Welcome back to the channel and to week 10 of the NFL. Guys, this NFL season is flying by. But here we are, week 10, man. We're going to dive into another episode of Trey's Pick 6. This is where I pick my favorite 6 plays off of the slate. We dive into those and we analyze them. But before we get into those, let's take a look back to week 9 and what we put in and how that went down. Guys, we had a good week 9, man. Ended up putting in 6 plays like we typically do. Sometimes we put in a little bit more than 6, but last week, 6 plays in, 5 of those plays cash, and that one play that does not cash, it's just a void, man, because Tremaine Burton decides that he's not going to show up for his walkthrough, so he does not end up playing. He is a healthy scratch on the day. Kind of sucks because we had him at plus 520 for an anytime touchdown, man, all week long. The storyline was how they were integrating him into the playbook, and we were going to see a much bigger role from him. And against that Raider defense, man, I felt really solid about him finding himself into the end zone. Burrow has a day, right? Throws a ton of touchdowns, so we most definitely could have seen that happen, but we can't complain too much, right? I will settle for 5 cashes and 1 void any day of the week, so I'll take that, man. Well, let's roll that positive energy right over in here to week 10. Now let's go ahead and dive into these picks. We're going to jump over to Outlier to do so for our first pick of the day. Now let's go ahead and get into that one. We're going to be looking at Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Looking at him to not throw an interception in this one. We can find that over there at Caesars right now for minus 109. Now we can see dating back even to last year, we can look at him in his last 11 games here. We can see that he has failed to throw an interception in 9 of those games. So an 82% hit rate to the under, right? Like I said, that's dating back to last year with the Denver Broncos. People put a lot of dirt on his name for his time with Denver, and you can see, man, pretty efficient with the ball, like I said, right? We can look at him this year so far with the Steelers, and we only got 2 games to look at. Obviously, no picks thrown so far. He's played solid in this Pittsburgh offense so far under Coach Tomlin, man. Tomlin said this is why I get paid the big bucks, right, to make these decisions. He's showing us he made the right decision, man. Russell has definitely looked pretty solid. I expect them to be much more run heavy. They're 53% to the run rate versus a pass rate on the season. I expect that to carry true into this week here against this Washington defense. We can see on the year, this Commander defense is sitting at 29th in terms of rushing yards allowed. They are 5th in terms of passing yards, right? The Steelers, 26th in terms of passing yards. Now, we should expect to see that number go up some as the season goes on with Russ back there throwing that ball around. But they are 8th in the NFL in terms of rushing yards, right? And with Russell coming in, man, I've noticed just watching these 2 games, things have opened up a lot for Najee Harris, right? Teams can't just stack the box anymore. They now got to worry about that deep threat. Pittsburgh's got guys. They got Pickens, they got Van Jefferson. Even Freiermuth can get down the field. I think he had like a one-handed catch last week. I believe that was last week. On a deep ball. They can get down the field, man, and Russ can throw that deep ball. So that's definitely opening up things for Najee Harris. So I definitely think that they'll be much more run heavy in this one. Trying to exploit that Washington defense. For as good as they've been against the pass, they're only 27th in terms of interceptions forced on the season. So I like our chances here, especially at minus 109, like I said over there on Caesars. And you can get it for a good price pretty much everywhere you look, man. Just all the way up to minus 115 on Bet365. So kind of no matter which book you're looking at, you're going to get a good price on this one. Obviously Caesars is going to give us the best one, so that's where I'm going to throw it in myself. But like I said, Russell Wilson, we're looking for him to not throw a pick in this one as well. That's going to be our first play of the day. Next up, I'm looking at Aaron Jones of the Minnesota Vikings. I'm looking at his receiving yards over 20.5. We can get this one over at FanDuel, minus 113. Now, looking at him in his 8 games played so far on the season, he has hit at a 75% rate to the over on this one. 6 of the last 7 games, right? Should really be 7 games in a row, man, if we break it down and look at it, man. He had 4 catches in this game. He had a reception of 22 yards alone on 1 catch, right? But early on in the first quarter, he had a reception that resulted in a 7-yard loss. So he does end up landing at 18 in this one. But like I said, man, kind of coming over this number quite a bit this season. 6 of the last 7 games played, and really should be 7 games in a row if we're looking at it from a what did he do in this game perspective. Jacksonville is giving up 30 or they're 30th in terms of receiving yards allowed towards running back specifically, 31st overall in terms of running or receiving yards allowed. Look at them down here on defense. Like I said, 31st overall passing yards. The Vikings are 12th overall in passing yards on the season. That's an 8th ranked scoring offense going up against a 30th ranked scoring defense. The Vikings just kind of have, they should anyway, should have the Jaguars' number when it comes to them with the ball in their hands going up against this Jacksonville defense. So I definitely like Jones's his chances of getting up over this 20.5 mark. And that minus 113 over there on FanDuel, man, I think that's a good look. So we're going to make that our second play of the day. Next up, I'm looking at the Ohio State guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. He's now with the Arizona Cardinals. His receptions under 3.5. We're going to fade him in this one. So we can get that at plus money, man, at Caesars right now. Look, that's the only sports book that we're going to find this at plus money on. Now, we can still get it for a good price, over there, DraftKings, BetMGM, but Caesars, we can get that at plus money. So I'll be putting my bet in over there at Caesars for this one here. Now, let's check out this insight from Outlier. We can see that he has failed to exceed these 3.5 receptions in 4 of his last 5 games now for an 80% rate. That only time that he's come up over that mark was against that Miami Dolphin defense. In a 28-27 close win, right? So, the thing with Marvin is he is the highest targeted wide receiver on this team. Trey McBride takes up the most targets at 24% of the target share. Marvin Harrison at 22%, but he is the highest targeted receiver on this team, right? But he has only hauled in over half of his targets on the year in 2 games so far, right? So we'd want to see him get around, 8 targets to feel comfy hitting this 4-catch mark against this secondary that's led by Sauce, DJ Reed. We've only seen him hit 8 targets or more on the year twice, and that was way back in weeks 2 and 3. So don't know that I like his chances of catching 4 balls, man, here against this New York Jet defense. And we look at them, man, for receptions allowed, they sit at first. Against the wide receivers, first. So this New York Jet defense, this New York Jet team in general, for as much troubles as they've had on the season, the secondary is not one of them, man. They've definitely been stout on the year. Let's scroll down here. Let's go ahead and flip these to the Jets defense against that Cardinal offense. The Cardinals are 25th in terms of passing yards. They're 7th in rushing yards, right? The Jets are 21st in rushing yards. They're 2nd in passing yards. So you got to think that they're going to want to lean on that rushing game a little bit more, try to exploit that side of this New York Jet defense and kind of stay away from that secondary. That's what I would think personally. So I definitely like looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. here under 3.5 catches. Especially, like I said, at plus money over there on Caesars. Next up, I'm going to be looking at Saquon Barkley of the Eagles. His rushing yards over 88.5. Man, I wish I would have caught this one earlier. I can't lie to you guys. It was all the way down at 82.5 when this one opened up, man. Whew. But I still like it at 88.5, guys. I still do, man. We can get that at BetMGM at minus 115. And we can see him on the year he has hit over this mark 75% of the time. Those 2 that he came under was 47 against the Cleveland Browns, who don't have a shabby defense, right? The Browns have not been the Browns that we've seen the last few years, but the defense isn't bad. And then against that Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense. And like I said, man, if we could have catched that at 82.5, man, we'd be looking at this as a 7 out of 8 hit rate on the season. But I'll still take it at 6 out of 8, man. 75% on the year. He's averaging 115 yards per game. Dude's been killing it, man. And hold on, before we get any further, man, we got to talk about that hurdle last week, man. My man did what, a 360 into like a reverse backwards hurdle. Like, what the hell was that? That was amazing, man. That's probably one of the best plays I've ever seen in a football game, period. It was phenomenal. But like I said, just dominating on the year. 109 yards, 147, 176, 159. Just big game after big game. I don't see where that changes this week against this Dallas defense, man. That is, 30th overall in terms of rushing yards, right? Now, against running backs, a little bit better, but still 23rd. Look, and that's against running backs, right? That's not against Saquon Barkley, who's probably the best running back in the league. So, I don't know, man. Philly they've become more run heavy as the season's gone on. It's definitely contributed to their 4-game win streak so far that they are on currently. 55% to 45% run versus pass rate. And obviously Barkley is taking the majority of those snaps. 157 rushing attempts to the next closest running back, Kenneth Gainwell, 31 attempts. So obviously he's going to get his chances. He's going to get his carries. He's going to get his touches, man. So I definitely like him getting up over 88.5 yards. We just need him to hit 89. I think he's going to hit triple digits again, man. I don't see how this Dallas defense stops him when what he's hit over triple digits now in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8 games. If these defenses ain't stopping him, how's Dallas's defense stopping him? I don't see it happening. So like I said, I like that one a lot. And I also was looking at, we'll go ahead and just take a peek at it just for the hell of it. Let me find it over here. I liked him with the rushing and receiving yards as well, over 109.5. He's hit that at an 88% rate, 7 of his last 8 games. The Cowboys are 27th in terms of receiving yards allowed for running back specifically. So kind of either way you want to cut this one, man. I think either one of these are good plays, and we can get that one at better odds, minus 110 on BetMGM. So like I said, man, either way you want to cut it, I feel like Barkley has a big game in this one. I feel like the Eagles come away with the dub, and Barkley will be a huge part of that. All right, next up, we are looking at Brian Branch of the Lions, looking at that Sunday night football game, the Lions and the Texans. I'm looking at Branch to get his over 3.5 on tackles, and we can get that over there on DraftKings for minus 135. Now, he's hit over this mark in 6 of his last 7 games. Let's just filter that to this year, 86% hit rate, right? Hit it 6 times in a row until last week, where he only comes in with 1 tackle. Now, it's got to be noted, he was ejected in the second quarter in this one, right? So if he ends up playing that whole game, do we see him get up over this 3.5 mark? I think there's a much better chance of that, right? Like I said, 6 times in a row going into last week and then ejected in the second quarter. So I think this is a young guy that's going to be seeking a little bit of redemption after that. There was also some controversy as he made his way off the field, made some questionable gestures to the Green Bay crowd. Look, I ain't hating on him at all, man. I love that kind of energy. This is football. You know what I mean? This is football. So I love that kind of stuff personally. But definitely some controversy. He was talked about in the media quite a bit with that one. So I think this young guy comes out looking for a little bit of redemption in this game. And I think we see him clear this mark yet again. I'm kind of surprised that the books have it at just 3.5, man, when he has hit over this number in damn near every game. And the one game that he doesn't hit, he's ejected in the second quarter. So I'll take this one for sure. -3 or over 3.5 at minus 135. And if we look at the Houston Texans as far as tackles against, dead last in the NFL as well too. So I like this one. Like I said, Brian Branch tackles over 3.5. Then the last pick of the day, we're going to be staying in that Sunday night game, looking at Jared Goff, his passing completions under 21.5, and we get that at Bet365 for minus 120 odds right now. Now on the season, he has hit under that mark in in 6 of his last 8, for a 75% hit rate to the under. And if we look at this insight from Outlier right here, we can see that he has failed to hit over that mark in 5 of his last 6 games versus top 10 defenses for passing attempts against. He's actually averaging 18 completions in those games, right? So we like that one here. And the one time that he does come over, man, it's on the hook, right, at 22 in a close game against the Rams, right? So I like this one here, right? This is 2 of the toughest defenses in the league, man. The Lions sit at what? Let's see here. Lions are 5th in terms of scoring defense. 7th in terms of rushing yards. Look over here to Houston, though, man. 3rd against pass, 12th against the rush. Both teams can get after the quarterback. Just a lot to like about these defenses, right? And if we look at them from a DVOA ranking standpoint, Lions sit at 3rd overall in defense. The Texans sit at 2nd. Lions are number 1 ranked rushing team as far as DVOA metrics are concerned, and they lean towards that run, man. Let's see it at a 51 to 49% pass rate, run versus pass rate. And that's with Montgomery and Gibbs leading the way. The thing about this Detroit team is that there's just so much damn talent over there, right? So they don't necessarily need to rely on Goff to throw the ball 1,000 times, right? So this is why we have seen on the year him come up underneath this mark. Look at this one specifically. 12 passing completions, and they win the game 52 to 14. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like landing at this 18 mark quite a bit, and they're still dominating. 42 to 29, 47 to 9. So 24 to 14 last week against the Packers. They don't need him to throw the ball a ton for them to win these games. There's just so many different ways they could beat you on the ground, through the air, with their defense, with their special teams. There's just really no flaws on this team. So I like our chances of Jared Goff coming underneath this mark, under that 21.5 passing completion mark again. With that in mind, with the tough defenses in mind, this will probably be a lower scoring game. I can see it being a close game where at the end we see Goff driving them down the field for, to kick a field goal or maybe take that late game lead with a touchdown. I could see that happening. But I don't think that, this is going to be a shootout where we see Goff throw the ball, 30, 40 times, and we see him get over this 21.5 completion mark. Guys, that is going to do it here for another episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the content today. I hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button down below. And please hit subscribe if you have not already. And double check, man. You might think you're subscribed, man, because, we've been posting videos for quite some time, right? But we just started posting videos on this More Guy Boston Sports channel, so make sure that you are subscribed to this one as well. For the meantime, this is where we're going to be. We're going to be on this More Guy Boston Sports channel, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on anything that we are dropping over here between me, Ev, and Tassos. Man, that's going to do it, guys. I hope we have another great week. I did want to shout us out real quick, us as a channel, man, real quick, because those two are so damn humble, man. And look, I'm humble when it comes to myself, but I'm going to brag on them too, guys. Like, look, every week consistently, these dudes are killing it in football, right? Last week as a whole, man, the whole channel had quite a good week. I know Ev swept the board between Thursday night, Sunday, and Monday Night Football. Your boy came in with 6 picks, cashes on 5 of them. The only one that doesn't cash is a void. Tassos is consistently throwing in over 10 picks, 15 to 20 picks a week and cashing in the double digits, man, always hitting in the positive. So make sure you guys are checking them out. They're going to get you guys some money. And the best thing about this channel, man, that remains true, no matter if it's Guy Boston Sports Channel, no matter if it's the More Guy Boston Sports Channel, it doesn't matter. The best thing that reigns true no matter what is all these plays, all these picks are always free. We ain't charging you for nothing, man. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any of this. And we will see you on the next one, man, for week 11. Let's have another positive week here in week 10. Best of luck to everybody out there.